Berlin, 1929. The clubs are full, the music is loud, the city feels alive. And within 4 years, it will collapse into one of the darkest regimes in human history. Not slowly, not unpredictably, but while millions of people are dancing, working, falling in love, completely convinced that this is normal. So the question isn't just how accurate Babylon Berlin is, the real question is, what did it feel like to live in a society that didn't know it was about to end? We all know how the story of Weimar Germany ends. The tragedy is written in stone. But what if you were living inside it, completely blind to the future? What if you were a police typist by day and a flapper by night, just trying to survive the week? There is a common phrase used to describe this era: Tanz auf dem Vulkan, the dance on the volcano. It captures the society suspended in a fleeting hedonistic pocket of freedom, trying to ignore the violent catastrophe waiting just around the corner. By the late 1920s, Berlin had swelled to 4 million inhabitants. For the first time in German history, the constitution guaranteed freedom of art by law. When adapting Volker Kutscher's novel, the creator had to recreate the world that feels incredibly real, while capturing a myth we already know the ending to. But the real Berlin wasn't just chaotic, it was engineered that way. And this is where Babylon Berlin stops being accurate and starts being smarter than reality. In the series, the Moka Efti is portrayed as a cavernous Gothic Deco nightclub, a playground where the working class and the elite dissolve into the same sweaty chaos. It looks and feels like a modern techno club. But the real Moka Efti was quite different. It was a colossal, multi-story entertainment place that served an astonishing 25,000 coffees a day. It didn't have a secret sex room in the basement, but it didn't need to. Hyperinflation has driven so many into prostitution that contemporaries called Berlin more sinful than the ancient Rome. Berlin wasn't subtle. It was loud, fast, and impossible to ignore. The show's creator modified the space intentionally. The television Moka Efti is a composite, merging the real coffee with real underground venues. By creating a symbolic space, they capture the era's sensory overload better than literal architectural accuracy ever could. But all this neon-lit decadence hides a harder truth. And this is the part most people completely misunderstand. Most people in Berlin weren't dancing, they were surviving. The show nails Berlin's stark geographic inequality. The Kurfürstendamm was the Champs-Élysées of Berlin, home to department stores, luxury hotels and wealthy elite. Meanwhile, districts like Wedding had 40% overcrowding. Infant mortality there was 4 times higher than in the wealthy West. The show captures the city living in 2 completely different realities. Charlotte embodies the new woman of Weimar Germany. For the first time, women could vote and live independently, making up 35% of workforce. But the show doesn't romanticize this. Charlotte's day jobs paid barely enough to survive. Freedom existed, but only if you could afford it. So if the show gets the poverty on the partying so right, why does the political violence feel so exaggerated? The terrifying answer is, it isn't. This is exactly what Babylon Berlin's recreated. During the events of Bloody May in 1929, police fired approximately 11,000 rounds of live ammunition into working class neighborhoods. 33 civilians died. Not one police officer was shot. No officer was ever charged. The show doesn't exaggerate the violence. If anything, it tones it down. And the fallout was catastrophic. After this, the left stopped fighting the Nazis and started fighting each other. Characters like General Schegers feels like fictional supervillains, but they are not. The conspiracy to restore the Kaiser wasn't a plot device. The Black Reichswehr was a real 50,000 to 80,000 man shadow army secretly funded by industrials. They executed hundreds of their own traitors. Their 1923 coup attempted arguably posed a greater threat to democracy than Hitler's beer hall putsch. Weimar's collapse wasn't a sudden accident, it was a slow, deliberate demolition. The show isn't a documentary. Historians note that the Nazis are nearly invisible in the first 3 seasons. despite already being a major force in 1929. The timeline is compressed. Some critics argue that the shows aestheticized Weimar's excess in a way that makes fascism seem inevitable. But these are choices by the director. The show sacrifices literal accuracy to explore a much larger, more terrifying theme: how democracies die, how violence becomes normalized, and how people participate in their own undoing. Babylon Berlin isn't just a reference of 1920th decade, it's a warning. The unsettling part isn't that the show exaggerates reality, it's that it doesn't have to. The Babylon of the Weimar Republic fell because its own contradictions, wealth and poverty, freedom and repression, tore it apart. The people in Weimar didn't fall because they didn't see the anger. They failed because it felt normal.